Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I'm glad you're here this Monday morning, getting ready to start a big week. Our weather brought to us by Haney Technical. And listen, speaking of weather, it's going to be a pretty good week. It's going to be up into the 70s most of the week. Maybe a little bit of rain coming back through toward the end of the week. But tonight it's going to be a good night. Won't get below 58. High today will be around 69 or 70. Water temperature hanging in there between 62 to 63 degrees. So pretty typical Monday. Now, taking a look at the Monday moon phases, we got a full moon coming up February the 8th. In 5 days from now, or 5 nights from now, we'll be having our full moon. So we're waxing up pretty strong. Should be a really good week to get on some rivers and do some good fishing there on those feeder creeks like I talked about on Friday's show. Tide chart from Kent Forest Lawn Funeral Home and Cemetery here on 23rd Street, looking low tide at 2:21 this morning and a high tide at 4:01 this afternoon. And as far as our marine forecast, bringing in the warm air, the south-southeast wind, it's coming in about 6 to 8. So that's our daily weather for the marine mariners and all those others getting up in the woods if you're going to be out there hunting today. So let's take a break. We'll be right back. Welcome back and welcome Captain Rick. Good morning.
Yeah.
Glad to have you. Ran in one night last week and we were talking. I said, it's about time you come on the show and let's get caught up on what's been going on. And we can't get together without talking about how the history of the old fishing, because you saw a lot of the old timers do some of these things. And
I remember
we don't have that many eyewitness accounts. So tell us, we were talking about how they really, you know, the electronics today, now anybody can come down from Atlanta and punch it in the chart and go out there, which is good. That's great.
Back in the old days, of course, in the late 50s, early 60s, they started getting the old 707 Raytheon sounders that had the paper, and it would burn, and you could see what was going on. But until then, when I first started decking with Walter Anderson on the old Zero, they called it, the Captain Anderson, the original, we'd run down the beach. He'd watch and he'd say, well, I'm going to line up that radio tower and that water tower, and so on. And
the paper mill
smoke, we'd use it. The old Dixie Sherman sometimes, the hotel, that things that were high enough that they stood out, they would use them, they'd get bearings off of them. And when those two bearings matched across, that's where you were at. And if they caught fish there, they remembered it. They'd write it down. And of course, they'd go down. A lot of times they go to the west, down off of what they call Double Yellow Bluff, down there off Blue Mountain Beach, and there between Phillips Inlet and Destin. And they'd be fishing that 85-foot water, and there's a lot of coral down there. And it's good fishing, and you catch those, you know, what they call rat snappers. They'd be 5, 6, 7 pounds. Good eating size snapper. And people didn't use rod and reel; they had a hand line. It cost you $2 extra to get a rod and reel.
That's why it's hard to believe how they brought them in by hand and all.
Yeah.
And I was looking at something. I was looking on Google Earth here, and when you said that a lot of folks love going west, it was just easier going west than it was south.
Sure.
In the later days, they started going south more, but in the early years, they'd go there and go a little out west.
They'd either go northwest or west.
Right, northwest.
Yeah.
And they would go about where Rosemary Beach is. They're looking at it now.
Yeah.
And that area down in there, and it's really. And there's an old house there. I don't know if I find around Sequest.
May House?
The old May House.
Yeah.
Tell us about the old May House.
Well, it was a big house that was easy to spot offshore because it was bigger than the rest of it.
One of the only houses, the first house.
It was one of the few houses down there. Used to, that was just all woods and sand, you know. And they had the sand had some clay in it down there. That's the reason they call it Double Yellow Bluff. It was a yellowish looking, and it was easy to pick it up offshore. And off that area there, there's a lot of coral out there. And that, you literally see people walking on the beach when you fish.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in close.
I bring up the May House because it sort of strikes a chord with us because it's the May family from my hometown of Quincy that's homesteaded in 1925, built the house, it's still standing.
Yep.
And here's what's going on. Bradford, the grandson, is my age. We went to school together, and I was talking to him the other day. They passed it down. There's 3 generations that's used that house.
Yep.
Okay, now, well, here's what's going on. They think, they've done some research, they think it's the oldest house on the Gulf of Mexico from Texas to the Key West. They're still standing.
Right.
Because all the hurricanes knocked out a bunch of them. Now, there's some old houses inside inlets and bays, but this is right on the Gulf. Well, guess what, folks? That house, they've ended up, they hated to do it, but the family got through. They've ended up selling that to one of those developers out there, and they're going to bulldoze down that house. March the 20th is the last day, about a month and a half from now. It's heartbreaking to them. They've tried to give the house away, basically, because it's well built, but nobody, I don't think they can get it. It costs so much, but it's sad.
Yeah, you've hit something there that it's kind of with me. I may be wrong, and if I am, so be it. But I still like the fact that people love nostalgia.
Oh, I know.
They buy 57 Chevys and 57 T-Birds and you know, all these old cars. They buy old airplanes the same way. They buy old boats the same way. You find an old Chris Craft, they want to redo it. But they're always wanting to build a new mall.
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, I know.
You can find a mall anywhere.
Yeah.
Apalachicola right now is doing some of the smartest stuff. They're keeping that town
exactly,
quiet, and they're doing well. And you know, you go to like Cedar Key, you go to some of these old places. I can remember back in '71 or '2, my wife and I drove all the way around the state of Florida. Every road that went to the water, we'd go down.
Go down it,
And we got down at Naples. I just back then I fell in love with it because it was very quaint, and it was old Florida.
It's old Florida fishing village.
That's
many of them
exactly.
left.
They're trying to figure out what to do with downtown and bring it back. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
If you take and turn downtown Panama City to look like it did at the turn of the century, and with outdoor restaurants and gift shops,
that'll be
you'll
good.
have a pool. People come from the beach to come down there and
they're working on doing some of that.
Yeah,
That's really good. I appreciate
it's a great idea.
The mayor and all that, those folks down there doing that. What they're going to do with my house, there are 3 of the kids left that have, and Bradford gets it every 3rd week. So between now and March 20th, we're going out there and spend a day with them. I'm going to video as much as I can. We're going to do a show off of it. I interviewed Bradford's dad about 8 years ago out there, get the history of it and try to save it. But I wish there were a group of people, the Historical Society, could come in there, even if they got to take it apart board by board and move it somewhere and put it back together.
That
house is almost 100.
one of the parks or something.
Yeah. That house is almost 100 years old, and it's been on the Gulf of Mexico for almost 100 years. It survived, and it's one of the original homestead. So anyway, we get off on history and our heritage. We feel the same way about it.
Absolutely, I love it. I read a lot of history, and especially World War II history. Last night when we, the other night when we were at White Western.
We're talking about pilots.
We're talking about pilots and airplanes and things of that nature. And
all 3 of us at a table were talking this the other night, and we were talking about we had dinner together, and they were talking about, we all had relatives that were pilots in World War II or somebody, and they were talking about the campaigns, and he was very knowledgeable in his planes.
Oh yeah,
I'm telling you.
Yeah, Dr. Cook.
Yeah, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
That.
Okay, welcome back. So here with Captain Rick Corley. We're talking about the past and all. So we're going to, this segment, let's talk about the future. And I mentioned this the other day, this boating safety, and Rick is an expert in it too. So you brought us some good points during the break right there. Let's go over those points in boating safety.
Well, you know, you're used to driving a car, and you come to an intersection, you got to look left and right, and in front of you, and then behind you. But for example, you coming into Grand Lagoon right there at Deepwater Point, you can be coming from anywhere, 360 degrees around you. So if you just look straight ahead and behind you and left and right, you ain't covered it all. You still could have some places in between where you're looking that if you don't look, somebody run out in front of you. Another thing is, a lot of people think, oh, I've got to pass like a car. I got to come over here and stay to the right. And that means he's got to cut right across your bow. Well, if his engine quits and you're coming out, you don't think he's going to quit. You think he's going to keep going. All of a sudden he dies. You're going to run over it. You can't hardly avoid it. So it's what they call a two-whistle pass. You turn and come on the inside. You pass right to right instead of left to left, and
well,
they don't do that.
And to add to the conglomeration of having a mess, we talk about with these folks coming in and rent stuff from, have no clue to that.
No.
And summertime, it scares me to get out there sometimes in summertime.
Well, it's like when they have the 4th of July celebration, we like to go out there and anchor out and watch the fireworks display. Everybody says, you don't ever have any problem with it. I said, no, I get out there early, I find me a good spot, and I anchor. And I bring some food and whatnot so that we can just sit there.
Right.
So when the fireworks is over, I don't crank up to leave because it's a mad rush. Everybody's just like kamikazes. And I just sit there, and they said, well, what do you do after that? I said, then I go home slow and do a body count.
Another thing, too, we'll talk about if you're driving your car on the interstate or traveling all in your car, and if a big old thunderstorm comes up and the weather comes up and wind blows, whatever, you're still okay because you're in the car.
That's right.
But you out there, the weather is a big factor on the boats, and you've seen that before.
Yeah.
What are some of the biggest, baddest weather you've been through?
The perfect storm in '91.
So you were out there then?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I was running a research ship for the Navy at that time, and we had left Reykjavik, Iceland, and we were supposed to come down and go into, we headed for Boston, and but when it hit, we realized we wasn't even going to make Halifax, so we immediately turned and went for St. John, and it took us 72 hours to go 180 miles.
Wow.
And we were trying to do 12 knots and doing 3.5. Most of it straight up and down.
How big do those waves get? I know in the movie, of course, they had Hollywood, but that was huge, though.
Yeah, but they were huge. They were, in the center of the storm where the Andrea Gale was lost, they had recorded one at 103 feet.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah. Where we were at, we estimated 80 to 85 feet, which is about as high as the roadway surface at the New Hathaway Bridge.
Wow.
And, I was on a 278-foot ship, which, when you got 85-foot seas, ain't big enough.
You didn't think about taking any pictures at the time, did you?
No, I was a little bit
You were
busy.
trying to hold on.
You ain't going to turn loose and take no picture, I guarantee you. No, you just doing all you can do to hang on and stick.
I remember when I was doing interviews for a book, I was talking to Captain Anderson, Virgil, and he was talking about catching a 20-foot white shark. Great white shark, and I said, "You taking a picture?" He said, "He had the same reaction you had." No, we were finding them too much. I said, "That was a world record."
Yeah, no, it was nasty, and we got into St. John's, Newfoundland. It took us a week to repair everything that got damaged on the ship just from sheer water. We didn't have any handrails from the main deck to the O2 deck, which is right below the pilot house, and the pilot house on that ship was 58 feet off the water to eye level, and everything below us handrails were all ripped off.
Already, huh?
We had 4 lifeboats, and when we got in, we had 1 serviceable lifeboat, 2 were missing, and 1 was tore up and still hanging in the rack, but it was busted.
That was a very, the movie depicted, I read the book also, the movie depicted the book very well. They did some great research on it and interviews and all.
Well, that was computer-generated waves, but they were realistic.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that was realistic. Now, there was a couple of things in there that was definitely Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
The lady talking on the radio, and she never took her thumb off the microphone.
That's true.
And
I didn't. Folks, not many people we talked to was actually in the perfect storm. I didn't realize Captain Rick was in a perfect storm.
And going out there with a 4x8 sheet of plywood to put it on, you ain't doing that. You become a hang glider in a heartbeat, 100-mile-an-hour wind.
And we were talking about when we had dinner the other night, because we talked about the North Atlantic and when World War II and all, and how long could you last in the water?
If you go overboard in the North Atlantic outside of the Gulf Stream, you're about 2 minutes of useful consciousness, and if they can't get you back aboard within 12 minutes, they bring a corpse back on board when they get you. You'll freeze to death. Hypothermia will get you in a heartbeat. That water's about 29 to 30 degrees. Well, salt water doesn't freeze till it's 28 degrees because of the salt content. Fresh water will freeze at 32, but salt water, it takes around 29, 30 degrees. It's a little bit colder. And you just don't last long. When you fall in that water, I promise you, it hurts.
And you brought up a good point too. I didn't realize this before World War II started. The Merchant Marine, they were trying to. We had a lot of. I didn't realize
Merchant Marine had the highest casualty rate of anybody in World War II
Percentage-wise, yeah.
Percentage-wise, yes, they did.
Because of that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
If ship got torpedoed and they had to go, if they didn't get in the lifeboat, they were for sure dead within 12 minutes they were gone.
Yeah.
But the other is, if you're in a lifeboat, they weren't going to stop to pick you up, because if they did, you run the risk of getting torpedoed by a submarine. They're still hanging around.
That's right.
So they wouldn't stop and pick them up, and a lot of them perished out there just, starved to death. No water, no food.
That's good.
All right.
That's good history we were talking about the other night. So I just wanted Rick to come on. We got okay. We were talking about state parks on Friday show, and one of the things I picked up one of my videos when I was at the state park a while back. I videoed, got a little 2-minute video, and just walking through St. Andrews State Park looking at the deer. So we're gonna run that video, and we'll come back with Captain Rick. So Jeff, let's go ahead and run this one.
Another one.
Welcome back. Glad you're with us this morning, sitting here with Captain Rick Corley, who's knowledgeable on the history and our heritage, and it's really great having him on. Let's take a look at our fishing game times today, brought to us by Blue Water Outriggers in Port St. Joe. We're looking at 6:47 to 8:47 this morning, and this evening from 7:12 to 9:12. Got an email here from John Rush. Remember the young man from Auburn, the intern with us? I'll read this on the next show. Also, on tomorrow's show, I have a video coming up of my grandson Mason went on a rabbit hunt. A couple of fellow took him on a rabbit hunt with a beagle, so we got that video tomorrow. You're really going to enjoy that. Speaking of St. Joe and Carabel, we're talking about the last fishing village. I always said about Carabel, but you have a unique tie-in with Carabel.
Yeah, my great-grandfather was the one that established Carabel.
Most people don't know that. This is true history right here. So
all the Corliss down there are some kin. I mean, you know.
They claim you?
Yeah, well, I think
some of them do.
Yeah, but I'll be honest with you, I don't know if Zeke's still alive. I hope he is, but he'd be way up in his 90s now. But he was the last one that was really when they'd have the family reunions down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that little. A lot of people don't realize that little town is a fishing village, but during World War II, it was an ammunition.
Training village.
Well, it was training village, but they also loaded a lot of ammunition out of it. Olin ammunition plant there right below Tallahassee. They used to have a little narrow gauge railroad.
That's right.
Went down to Carabel there, and that channel was controlling depth was 24 feet. Well, that's not a lot for today, but back then most Liberty ships didn't draw but about 17, 18 feet of water. So 24 foot was a deep channel for them, and they'd bring Liberty ships in there, Victory ships, and load them with ammunition and come out of there and go.
Well, they've got a, they got a little history museum down there with a really nice. Apalachicola has a little history museum.
Yes, they do.
Walton County has one, but somehow we don't have much of a fishing history here as far as a museum. But our fishing history is amazing.
Mike Miller right now is trying to do a thing that would be great.
We had that on the show.
On the lighthouse.
Yeah.
And if they do that, that'll be a good foundation, be a start.
And that's something Grover Davis really wanted to get started.
He did. Grover and I talked way back when they started to do that with the Rotary. But the trouble is, sometimes you get in these projects and somebody gets grandiose with ideas and drives the price to where you can't do something. If they keep it simple, it will be a good figurehead piece, and it will work. And keep it simple. It doesn't cost a lot, and it can be done.
Real quick, we got about a minute and a half left. Let's get back to boating safety now, because we got it's right around the corner of boating season. What's the best advice you can tell people about getting on the boats this summer?
When you're on a boat, remember there's two things you got to have: situational awareness on the boat. In other words, what's going on the boat, and then situational awareness around the boat. What's going on that may affect the operation of the boat. What I'm getting at is, for example, if you got somebody down below, and maybe they're cooking or something, and you're underway, and here comes a much bigger boat running a big wake. If that person can't see, they don't know there's a big wake coming, and you can slam somebody around, bounce them around down there.
Good point. That happens.
Whatever it does.
That happens
or throw
a lot.
Somebody down.
It does.
Where if you're situational awareness, you know they're down there doing that. First thing you do is holler, "Hang on, we got a big wake coming."
Let's communicate.
One hand for you and one hand for the boat.
There you go.
And do that. And the other is keep aware that your targets are coming at you from any direction, not just forward. Not from behind you and ahead of you, or one each side. It can be all 360 degrees around you.
Thank you, Rick. We got to get out of here. Thank you so much, buddy. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Have a great day. Do something good for your fellow man. Enjoy the outdoors, and God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.